All right. It's been a while, guys. Where have I been? I have been, had to go back home for a little while. So I was in Indianapolis for about 2 weeks. Then I came back to New York for about 3 or 4 days. And then we had to go down to Atlanta for my nephew's birthday party. So I've been on a hiatus, but I'm back. Hiatus. Remember that one? Anyway, what did I want to come here today and talk about? I wanted to talk to y'all about a few things. We'll start with my trip to Atlanta because that was most recent. I was down in Atlanta, was hanging out, doing some things. I did a show while I was down there, some comedy down at Sweet. That was fun. To say the least, it was fun. Them niggas had a show just inside of a nightclub, but inside of the nightclub, it was like split in three parts. So one side was a comedy show, the other side was a loud, noisy bar. Music still cranked up. They did not cut the music down for the show. Other side was a diner. So it was just like, what the hell is even going on in here? Of course, yeah, in Atlanta, everybody's just more polite down there because I had a little bit of a rough set due to a mix-up. The promoter didn't really tell me when I was going on stage, wound up bringing me up first and wound up, just being like, Phil, is Phil here? No last name, no Phil Hunt, no, hey man, you're next. No, none of that. Just so now I'm running from the other side of a crowded ass club. He was one of them real smooth ass promoters. Like if you ever watched the show Atlanta with Donald Glover, remember when he was trying to get Paperboy paid and the promoter kept going into the wall and the wall was flipping around and he had like that secret lair in the back he would go into? It was something like that. And he had to keep chasing down his money. So that was my experience. But it was fun. Got to see some beautiful women. They're a little more polite down there, You say good morning, they say good morning back. Up here in New York, they just kind of stare at you like, who are you to be saying good morning to me? This morning ain't even happened yet. You could say, hey, you look kind of nice today. And they say, today? How the fuck I look yesterday then? So good to be back down south. I lived in Valdosta, Georgia for 8 years. For those of you who know my story, I lived on an Air Force base in Valdosta, Georgia for 8 years, from I think about the age of 8 to 16, which actually I was just sharing some memories the other day about 9/11, which we'll talk a little about. Why not, since we're here? So yeah, I lived on Moody Air Force Base for 9/11. It was very odd because a lot of the people went to Lowndes County High School. They're known for football. They're always ranked top in the state. Anyway, living on an Air Force base when 9/11 happened, they had to evacuate us, obviously, from the school. They turned off the TVs because everybody that's down there mostly was either you were military active duty or you were retired. So either way, you had connections, whether you had, son, daughter, mother, brother, uncle, cousin, somebody was probably in the military. If you were down there, you didn't wind up down there. Usually it wasn't a whole lot of people that was originally from Valdosta, you know what I mean? Most people got down there, discovered the rent's cheap and the weather's good all year round and just stayed. So they turned the TVs off. Remember, they sent us home a little bit early. Got back to the Air Force Base. Everybody had, AKs and whatever. Usually, the base is pretty lightly guarded. There's somebody standing there, but their hands isn't on their gun. When we got back to the base, hands was on the gun. Like, yo, who are you? You better be on this list. And like I said, when we leave, typically the base was pretty free flowing. Airplanes were taking off all night. And I remember getting home, seeing the TV and just being like, yo, this shit is crazy. It looked like a movie. airplanes take off all night. I could barely sleep. And within about 2 weeks, everybody's parents within my Air Force base, most of them, I'd say every other person's parents or whoever was in the military was gone. So my dad included. I remember he got sent over to, I think, Iraq, which, all of that shit is closely related, even if it's not Afghanistan. And yeah, he was supposed to retire after 20 years, and he had to stay in like an extra year almost due to that. So, it's weird. People always get a little sentimental around. Like, even when I was in Atlanta, I was supposed to leave on Saturday, and I said, hell no, I'm not leaving on 9/11. Like, we not getting on no flight on 9/11. We're not taking that chance. It's not a chance that we're willing to take. Everybody forgets about everybody remembers the 2 planes that hit the towers. Everyone forgets about the plane that was supposed to, they were supposed to land and hit the Pentagon, and those hockey players were on that plane, and they fucking like tackled these motherfuckers, and they made it hard for them. I ain't gonna say they saved them, because I think they still died, but they made it hard for them to take over. And I'm surprised to this day we don't have at least 2 hockey players on every flight. These motherfuckers are already missing teeth. They ain't afraid to fight. So they made them miss their target. I feel like we don't celebrate them enough, those hockey players. And like I said, they should be at least 2 of them on every flight, which if you talk to an old motherfucker, they'll tell you how the airport used to be pre-TSA, pre-9/11, to where you could pull up 20 minutes before your flight, walk straight up basically to the plane, show them your ticket, and get on. And every time I hear that shit, I'm like, God damn. So those O.J. Simpson Hertz commercials were real. I don't know how old y'all are, but y'all may remember those O.J. Simpson Hertz commercials where he would run through the airport. If you see O.J. running now, you better get the fuck out the way, especially if he ain't holding the football. Anyway, what am I saying? I went off on a tangent. And I was telling my 9/11 story because I live in New York, obviously, and everybody now, New Yorkers are cocky, they're arrogant about everything, but they want to claim a national tragedy. So every year I got to deal with if you aren't from New York, then you need to shut the fuck up about 9/11. You weren't here. You didn't have to breathe in the thick air and the smoke and we could smell the dead bodies. And it's like, okay, fair, bro. Fair point. But also, you don't know where everybody else was. So, like, shut the fuck up. We get it. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Like, we fucking get it. Like, seriously, if you weren't a first responder, if you weren't in the military, probably shut the fuck up. And if you were in the military, thank you for your service. Let's say that much. But yeah, it's like, every time I hear them say that, it's like, you don't know where I was, bro. I was on a military base, and my dad and different people had to go over there, if not to Afghanistan or, to Iraq or Iran, somewhere near it. Which all of this is, brings back memories because, right now we got conflict in Afghanistan, and we've got a new Kanye album, and we had a hurricane. So it's just a level of like, wait, this shit feels like deja vu, Bush said the other day, I think something about, compared 9/11 to the insurrection or whatever that happened January 6th. So it's like, oh shit, a Kanye album, a hurricane, and George Bush is speaking again in conflict in Afghanistan. What fucking year is this? Before I get too far on my tangent, that's what I wanted to talk to y'all about. Was while I was down in Atlanta, I was in the club, and man, they played that fucking Future and Drake Way Too Sexy. They played that shit about 11 times, as the Yin Yang Twins had said once upon a time. So yeah, they're loving that one. I guess we'll start with Donda because it came out first. Back home in Indianapolis, and just happened to be chilling and refresh my phone. I saw somebody tweet that, Donda's out, but I'd seen people tweet that and it was a false alarm like 100 times. So I was like, man, I'm not rushing to fucking check this and see if this album's there. So anyway, I refreshed it and was like surprised, like, oh shit, it's here. The album's finally here. And I mean, Kanye had been doing these big build-ups. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but he was basically renting out stadiums and performing the album for people before he put it out, which, I don't know, Kanye's been very experimental with his last few album releases. You know, going back to Sunday Service, you know, where he had an entire choir there, got off into his gospel bag. Although people think, you know, him being in the gospel bag is some sort of deviation, but Jesus Walks is on his first album, you know. So the boy's always kind of been there, you know. If anything, you'd almost say Chance the Rapper kind of took from him with always talking about God and talking about Christ. And now that Kanye's back in that lane, he done took like all of that boy's fans away. Anyway, Kanye dropped Donda finally. Had the internet going nuts because he brought out Marilyn Manson. And, you know, his last performance was at home in Chicago, Soldier Field. He brought out Marilyn Manson. Who else did he have there? Raphael Sadiq. He had an eclectic group of motherfuckers, man. You never know what this dude's up to. The Baby, I think, was there. And, of course, the internet was going crazy. Oh, my God. I can't believe he's working with The Baby. And he brought out Marilyn Manson. You would have thought Kanye brought out Charles Manson the way the internet was going crazy. And next time, I hope he does bring out fucking Charles Manson. I hope he's on the album, too. I think he does music. But anyway, so yeah, Donda dropped finally. And it looked like Kanye just didn't edit this motherfucker for some reason. Like, this is a first draft, and I think he was trying to, like, figure out what he wanted to do and how to fit everybody on these songs. And I think eventually he just said, yo, fuck this. Like, here's the album. Do what you will with it. Edit it your damn self, you know? And I'm a big Kanye fan since the first album, since Through the Wire video dropped and was getting no love. So anyway, and we were speaking about 9/11 and Kanye's all over the blueprint. So, you know, we got about 20 years of history with dude now. Anyway, as a producer. But back to the point. Yeah. You know. He, you know, his first album, The Source was kind of running shit at the time. And I remember reading that they didn't give him the 5 mics, which you may remember 5 mics was the gold standard at the time for rap. There's only like 15 albums or so that got the 5 mic rating. I think Biggie Ready to Die. I think there's a Tupac joint that got it. Maybe Me Against the World, maybe. I definitely would remember Outkast Aquemini got 5 mics. Or maybe it was Stankonia. One of them joints did. I think it was Aquemini. There's like a Lil Kim joint. There's a few albums, very few. It's rare. Illmatic, Nas, The Blueprint is another one, 5 mic album. So it had to be top notch. And I think Kanye, really being a rap purist, wanted that. And at the time, I think they gave him 4 mics instead of 5. And the reason they said was because he would have skits on top of skits on top of skits. And if you remember the first album, he was kind of clowning, you know, haha, my dad was so greedy with degrees, he took my degree. And there's a lot of dudes, you know, they have cars and jobs and all that stuff, and I've got my degrees to keep me warm, so I don't need any of that stuff, you know. He was really going with the theme of college dropout. He was pushing that hard. So several skits on that album, and I guess The Source felt like it's kind of bogging this album down. Did you really need a skit next to a skit next to a skit? And if you paid attention, you know, Late Registration, he kind of doubles down on that. Broke 5 broke, we ain't paying. He had that theme going on the skits for Late Registration, which is the second album. And yeah, you know, so with this one, you get 27 tracks and you're just like, You just didn't edit this shit. But anyway, I don't know really what to make of the intro. Wasn't so fun, but I definitely enjoy Jail. Jail's dope. He's kind of been on a rock and roll vibe for a while now, so I enjoy Jail with Marilyn Manson. Then he's got the two versions of it, Jail 1 and Jail 2. You know, one version featuring Jay-Z, and it's a pretty sharp verse from Jay-Z. One of his sharpest verses in a while, you know. I like his Hova and Jesus, like Moses and Jesus. Like, he'd be really in the pocket. He had me really looking forward to Watch the Throne 2, hearing that joint. Because I don't think they've worked together in a while. So it was good to hear the two of them back together. And then the Baby's on the second end of that verse. And of course, he's rapping about that whole controversy. So then there's another joint, Off the Grid, that I really enjoy up front. Off the Grid is dope. Yay. He's got the auto-tune on. That'd be one of my complaints, actually, about the album. There's a lot of fucking auto-tune everywhere, but he's kind of been in that bag for a while now. Other than T-Pain, he was kind of one of the first people to embrace it, you know, going back to Good Life with T-Pain. And ever since then, or 808s, even a little before that. And obviously perfected on Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So yeah, he's kind of been in that bag. And I mean, that would probably be the other complaint for this album, is that I think it's dope overall, but it feels a lot like a compilation. He's got Roddy Ricch on there. He's got Travis Scott on there. He's got everybody, new Vivio Foreign, all the young guys. So it feels a lot like a compilation. Like, there's only a few tracks that he appears alone on. And then obviously the Lox killed the verses, and it was like they won a guest spot on Kanye's album on Jesus Lord, which is one of the dopest songs on there. But the shit is 8 minutes long, the first version. Then he added the Lox, and that's another 3 verses. And the second version is 12 minutes long, and it's got this long skit with well, it's not a skit, but speech by Larry Hoover, which I'm gonna have to look up what Larry Hoover's even locked up for, because I don't think they call him dirty. But you know, Kanye's always had that socio-political angle, so which actually that'd be another of my complaints. It's just that like there's not as much social commentary on this album. And coming from the dude that made All Falls Down and Jesus Walks and Diamonds, you know, talking about blood diamonds, which ironically enough, Jay-Z just got caught up in some sort of shit, him and Beyonce with that. So yeah, it's like, where's the social commentary? And I felt like with TLOP, he was missing that too, the Life of Pablo, of like, all right, I definitely see the funny Yeezus or fun Kanye is here, you know. The silly one that made Gold Digger is definitely here, in the sense of humor, you know. I need all the bad bitches up at Equinox. I need to know one time if you a freak or not. That shit is funny. Like, he's silly. He's always had that sense of humor. But I'm like, where's the social commentary, bro? So, yeah, those are pretty much the standout tracks on there, I think. Jesus Lord, Off the Grid is amazing. And Ye sounds hungry. He sounds like he's having fun again. I mean, he's the richest black man in fucking America. So whatever that means, you know, rich off selling sneakers, not music. So who could have ever seen that coming? But yeah, it's a level of like, you know, he sounds hungry. Like I said, he sounds like he's having fun. When he was running for president, he didn't look like he was having fun. Now I was a little concerned. Like, nigga, we can't have a president that's dropping mixtapes right now. Feel like that's what he would have did to the Taliban. So looked like he's finally having some fun again. And I was thinking, you know, maybe he could take the ski mask off now, because the niggas worn a ski mask all summer, which can't be healthy. It's like, Kanye, that's not the type of mask they said to wear, bro. They said to wear a face mask for COVID. For some reason, you've been wearing a ski mask all summer, man. The Met Gala actually just happened last night, and I saw him and Kim Kardashian in matching ski masks. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought this was just a thing we were doing until the album dropped, but no. And he's got his wife doing it again, so they must not be getting divorced anymore now that they're wearing his and her ski mask or whatever. The couple that ski mask together stays together. I don't fucking know, people. Anyway, a little bit of these two and their beef has left me just reminiscing about the old rap days. Tupac's anniversary, the anniversary of his death was just yesterday. I think it's like 22 years or something like that. Don't quote me. But watching Drake and Kanye, you know, Drake having a fucking heart cut into the top of his haircut. And then Kanye wearing a fucking ski mask all summer made me say, man, I wish Tupac could see this shit. Like, Lord, these the rappers you done left us down here with. Done left us down here with one rapper. And I mean, these are two of the top rappers. One's got a damn Care Bear heart cut into the top of his head. And the other one is running around in the damn ski mask in the middle of July. Talking about he running for president. These the rappers you done left us down here with, Lord. Jesus, as Kanye was saying on the album. Anyway, so yeah, you know, the album's a little long, like I was saying in this mission to social commentary. But I say overall, if I had to give it, you know, out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it 3.5 to 4 stars. I think give me some time, I'll sit with it. But his production is top notch. I mean, he's a fucking producer, so, and one of the top producers. So what do you expect? I just missed that little bit of social commentary from Kanye. You know, after a summer of having, you know, COVID and having a pandemic and having George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all these protests, then you go back and listen to Kanye. Even on Watch the Throne, he's really socially conscious about, you know, how many black people are dying in Chicago, you know, and he breaks down the numbers. 5,000 died in Iraq, 10,000 died in Chirac, you know, so that compare and contrast is there. Even on Watch the Throne, that social commentary is there. So I was kind of looking for some of that on this album. But even going up to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I still think Power is a beautiful joint on there where he's like, the system broken, the schools is closed, the prison open. So Kanye's always been on that wave. So here it just seemed like he more bragged and talked his shit, which seemed like he was having fun again, and it was good to hear. Which, now that I'm getting off into those critiques, interestingly enough, Drake dropped CLB, Certified Lover Boy, for those of you who ain't been paying attention. He dropped that shit like 4 days after Kanye, which it felt like he rushed it, because this was supposed to come out before Kanye was even talking about releasing an album. So it felt a little bit like Drake was trying to kind of step on his toes a little, and they've been exchanging those subliminals and whatnot. To which you're like, look, if this was back in the day, y'all would have already met up at the Source Awards and fall. Whew, Lord, these can't be the rappers you done left us down here with. Anyway, because they've been beefing for like 3 straight years and nothing's happened yet. Kanye tweeted his address or some shit like a week before his album came out, and it was just weird. He's like, bro, did you just put my address online? Like, what the fuck? So, and I mean, these motherfuckers have worked together and done some good work together, but now they became neighbors out in Calabasas, and now they don't like each other. I don't know. Somebody must have borrowed somebody's broom and didn't bring it back. I don't know. So, yeah, anyway, Drake dropped CLB, and, you know, everybody is short, but it's everything we expected from Drake and from a Drake album. And I mean, he's hard to rate as a rapper, because I always pose this question to people: what if Biggie sang half of Ready to Die? Like, would it still be a classic? So it's, to me, his singing always ruins the cohesiveness of his albums. So there's that, you know, and I think Drake's a phenomenal rapper. Obviously, top 3 artist of the decade. I mean, Billboard artist of the decade. So it's like, you got to put some respect on his name. We really don't let these Canadians come down here and take over music. When you think about Drake, The Weeknd, Justin Bieber, that is just like, man, I'm glad Tupac gone, because it wasn't no Canadians in the rap game, man. And he would probably be like, what the fuck is really going on? Y'all let a Canadian dominate this shit that we built? Anyway, which actually, by the way, one of the best tracks on Donda. And that's the other thing. For this album to be called Donda, he doesn't talk about his mother very much. You know, he mentions her here and there, but I was really expecting more of some sort of themed album. You name some shit after your mama, and even as far as maybe how he felt about losing her, which he's alluded to before. You know, I would have never let my mom's move to LA, knowing she couldn't take the pressure. May we all pray. You know, that's Watch the Throne. That it's like, you know, if you guys don't remember, his mother got a tummy tuck or tried to have one, and they told her, like, you can't do lipo at this age, man. It's risky. And then she flew over to like Colombia. I would gather the technology's better now, and you know, something went wrong and she passed away. So, and he was saying, you know, LA is very vain. I've heard people say it. I've been out there a time or two for comedy, but LA is very vain. And he was just kind of alluding to the fact of, you know, maybe if she'd have just stayed in Chicago, but once she got out here, start comparing herself to these women who all have plastic surgery, which is one of my beefs with, you know, him marrying Kim K, that you go, so you lost your mother to plastic surgery and you married the queen of plastic surgery. But that's none of my business. Back to the music. So yeah, one of the better songs on here actually on Donda is The Weeknd. Frequent Drake collaborates with Kanye, and Hurricanes is great. The Weeknd does some of his best Michael Jackson impersonations. So yeah, check that out. It's also one of the best tracks on there. The fuck was I talking about? I was talking about Certified Lover Boy. You know, Drake, typically his intros are fire. I think his best intro is on Take Care, when he's what is that joint called? Over My Dead Body. I think that's his best intro, because the boy really snaps off on his intros. If you paid attention to all of his albums, Nothing Was the Same was another great intro of his. And I mean, there'll be 4 minutes of just pure rapping. You feel like he almost goes, let me just get the rapping out the way so I can sing to the ladies. So every time album, right up front, boom, 4 minutes of rapping. There's like 3 beat switches in all of them if you pay attention to his patterns, which actually that's one of the running jokes on the internet, is that the album, you know, he had an album called Nothing Was the Same. And if you actually listen to his albums, everything's the same. There's a Drake formula, and he clearly sticks to that, you know. And I mean, within that, you have 2 artists that, you know, are nothing alike. You know, Kanye's a producer who changes, you know, every album or so. And he definitely takes these chances. And in taking those chances, it's allowed him to hit the highest of highs. But he's also had some lows with like 808s and Yeezus and different things with Experiment. Whereas Drake follows, he sticks to his patterns. He sticks to what works. And, you know, as great a rapper as I think he is, and like I said, Billboard Artist of the Decade, I wish he'd take more chances and work with different producers, but he kind of sticks with 40, and they kind of stick to their formula. Like I said, every one of his intros, a beat switch, he raps for like 4 minutes, gets shit off his chest, but you kind of wish he'd get out the box like Kendrick did, you know, work with Mike Will on Damn, and I mean, that shit, DNA sounded amazing, and you know, going back to his first album where he worked with Dr. Dre, Good Kid, Mad City. And then going even back to Section 80 with the in-house production. So Drake's a little bit in that J. Cole box now. Like, damn, bro. But we want to hear you challenge yourself. So, yeah, they've been making a joke a lot that, you know, he had an album called Nothing Was the Same. When actually, if you listen to all of his albums, everything's the same. You know, 8 tracks of rapping, 4 tracks of singing, and a lot of quotes on underneath Instagram pictures, which him and Fab, they pretty much have that. Him and Fab pretty much had that laid out. Like I was really clowning a few days ago about the fact that Drake is the biggest simp, you know. The last album, he came out and hyped the girls up with Nice for What, had Issa Rae all in the video smacking her manager up. So some poor girl that only makes 40,000 a year is gonna think, why I gotta be nice for? Go into work and cuss out her boss and lose her job, and Drake ain't coming to save her. And a few albums before that, he had that I like my girls BBW line. And you go, bruh, it's been about 6 years. These women been canceled their gym memberships because you said you like your girls BBW. We saw your baby's mom. She ain't no damn BBW. And we saw you date Malaya and we saw you date Drea Michelle, nigga. Neither one of them is a BBW. I mean, you got these fat girls canceling their gym memberships because you said you like your girls big. Drake be hyping these girls, man, gassing them. Anyway. So yeah, for Certified Lover Boy, which again, that Tupac would just be like, nigga, what? And I mean, there's a song called Way Too Sexy, which is actually dope. Like I said, when I was in Atlanta, they played that shit a whole lot. They played that shit a whole lot. And I gotta admit, I haven't been this embarrassed to be a man to hear a male anthem, because the girls started getting mad, you know, on Twitter and shit. They was all like, so Kanye has an album dedicated to his mother, a woman, and not a single woman on the album. And then they were like, and Drake has an album called Certified Lover Boy, and not a single woman on the album. And you go, okay, but WAP didn't feature any men, and y'all was calling that female empowerment. So guess what? Way Too Sexy, Certified Lover Boy, Donda. This is male empowerment. Like, shut up. I don't want to hear that shit. Only I can critique this shit. So yeah, guys, I feel like as fun as Way Too Sexy by Drake and Future is, that they were definitely joking. Like, it's just meant to be a joke, or like, let's act like the girls be acting, you know, Pretty Gang and all that bullshit they be doing online. So anyway, yeah, these two made this song, which is, you know, Right Said Fred sample back in the 90s, you know, I'm too sexy for my shirt and all that shit. So yeah, they they made this song, and I haven't been this embarrassed as a man when a song comes on to see other men's reaction to a song since Pretty Boy Swag. Remember Pretty Boy Swag by Soulja Boy? You know, it's like 2006. Niggas was brushing their eyebrows when it came on the dance floor. You know what I mean? Of like, relax, bro. It's not that deep. You really don't have to lick your lips like that. Like, relax. So yeah, it's a fun song. It's definitely an anthem. Drake and Future's always fun. I mean, going back to the album they had together, right? Jumpman, Jumpman, Jumpman. Remember that one? Anyway. So yeah, he's here. He gets some bars off. There's a lot of subliminal shots that he takes at Kanye, which is interesting because he wound up releasing a song. He wound up releasing a song featuring Kanye featuring Andre 3000. I'm forgetting what the name of the song was. And he released it, I guess. Drake released the Kanye song to kind of show us, like, yo, this dude been taking shots at me. You know what I mean? Y'all gonna hear my album and think I'm tripping. But he just didn't put the songs where he's taking shots at me on the album. Now, in releasing that, we all had to laugh and go, well, thanks, Drake, but this may be the best song you've ever released. So that's ironic, you know, that kind of backfired on Drake. And if you are listening and you haven't checked out the song, it's the old Kanye. So there's a, you know, Chop Soul sample. He had told Andre that, you know, the song was about Donda. So Andre taps into his bag about his mother passing recently. And then Kanye's talking about mama, your son in the red hat. You know, he's getting off in that bag. And man, it's a classic. It's one of the best songs I've heard in probably the last 5 years. So it's just kind of funny that Drake released it as to say, hey guys, he was dissing me first. So when you hear my album, don't get upset. I'm not starting things. I'm Canadian. I'm nice. Oh, and Drake was in a lot of trouble for this album cover, which is all these emojis of pregnant women of various colors. And I was joking that, that's why Texas banned abortions. They said that goddamn Canadian is coming down here and trying to get everybody pregnant. But yeah, CLB's fun, like I said, but it's the same Drake album. So, he's got Girls on Girls. That's a fun song. I like that one. It's growing on me fast. Girls like girls where I'm from. And everybody was like, yo, Lil Boosie need to get on him for promoting same-sex intercourse. And it's just like, I don't think it worked that way, homie. Nobody cares about lesbians. Which is always funny as comedians. The easy joke was, everyone always says it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, but they never came up with a version for lesbians. Cause nobody cares. Anyway. So yeah, CLB is out there. Like I said, it's fun. The criticism of it was actually opposite Kanye. Everybody kind of jumped to say, hey man, we've had a whole pandemic. You've had a baby. President changed, although he's Canadian. We got this situation in Afghanistan. Like for Drake, you don't have any worldviews. It's all just fuckboy love stories and calling your exes. Like that's it. And of course, the easy retort on the internet was, shut the fuck up. What you trying to hear 7 a.m. in Kabul? And it's like, fair point, man. Maybe we don't need to hear 7 a.m. in Afghanistan from Drake, which, easy joke. If you follow Drake, he's got these songs, 7 a.m. in Toronto, 6 p.m. in New York, which is a great one. That's on, if you're reading this, it's too late. That's a great one. Anyway, so yeah. It's like, nobody wanted to hear that from him, but I was expecting that from Kanye. Everybody started taking pictures of themselves with a fucking heart cut in their hair. That it's just like, some of you niggas don't have the hairline for that. I myself, I've slid back a little over the years, so I won't be attempting that Care Bear cut. I guess imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. What else do I want to talk to y'all about? Oh, while I was gone, this challenge happened. The crate challenge. The fucking crate challenge. I don't know. I woke up one day and people were just climbing up crates. And it felt kind of funny because we had Hurricane Ida and it felt like we had a whole week of crate challenges. And then people let the wind stop them from doing the crate challenge. I don't know. I feel like people thought the hurricane was coming and maybe it was going to blow over their crates. So maybe people are just waiting until hurricane season passes. But I was enjoying watching motherfuckers bust their ass. There's nothing funnier than watching people get hurt, especially like people that deserve it. It's like, you know better. You're a grown man on your lunch break. Like, don't do. Like, if I was going to do the crate challenge, I was surprised nobody did it right in front of the hospital. That's where I would have did it. But yeah, for some reason, we all started asking the same question of where the fuck are y'all getting all these milk crates from? Like, you're climbing up 40 milk crates. It's like, where are you getting these from? I even saw one dude kick one over. Saw a dude with no legs do it. It was fun, I gotta say that. Although I'll say we did, some of the pro-black crew kind of took on the angle of like, really? This is what we can come together for? And I mean, you would have thought they were giving out prizes the way motherfuckers was this anxious to hurt themselves. Which coincidentally enough, the last time I saw people this anxious to hurt themselves, it was the In My Feelings challenge when Drake released "Oh Kiki, Do You Love Me?" So yeah. You know, you may remember, who was it? The internet guy was in the video. Shiggy made a video where he got out the car and was dancing. And then everybody started trying to leave their car and drive and do this little dance beside it. And you saw motherfuckers really wrecking up their shit. To the point that I'm sure they had to start including that shit on the car insurance. Like, listen. So we're gonna get you minimum coverage, but we got one last question. Are you a Drake fan? Let me see your playlist. Do you got any Scorpion songs? Any songs from the album Scorpion on your playlist? We're gonna have to boost your insurance premium. Back in New York, fucking ambulance coming by. Probably another person doing the crate challenge. But yeah, that was the last challenge that people were so fucking anxious to hurt themselves doing, was the crate challenge. In my feelings challenge, Drake had y'all crashing y'all cars. What a time to be alive. Here's my thing with all the challenges. Like, remember the first challenge was the ALS challenge, which I'm not quite sure which disease that is. It's some form of, I know the S stands for syndrome, right? So the ice bucket ALS challenge. So people were dumping ice on each other and filming it and uploading it. And then they would donate money and they would tag somebody else and say, hey, I want for you to take the ice bucket challenge for ALS. Then somehow challenges just became a thing of trying to go viral. That it was like, that wasn't the goal. So then you had, let's see here if I can remember accurately a timeline of challenges. So we went from the ALS challenge, which for charity. Don't forget that, for charity. This crate challenge, nobody donated a motherfucking thing. So yeah, it was interesting, and I probably should have cut the light on in here a while ago. What am I doing? I'm gonna learn to go live properly one day. We're gonna figure this thing out. So yeah, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Then let's see here. I remember a freestyle, the For the Pussy Challenge. So a lot of people were just freestyling about what they do for the pussy. The women were freestyling about, what I do for some dick. I remember that challenge. What other challenges were there? Obviously, most recently we had the period challenge. Though you may remember that, where a bunch of Negroes were, taking pictures of their ass and in the middle of the curve making a P and then writing "Idiot," that you go, I get that there's a pandemic and we're all been stuck in the house, but y'all can't be this fucking bored. We get it. Your ass makes a curve and it looks kind of like the letter P. Gotcha. Then, of course, the flat booty girls started doing it with their titties. And you go, notice every time we give you a chance, all you do is show us your body. So, you complain about us sexualizing women, but here you are showing your ass, making an idiot of just like, again, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge that they raise fucking money. So you go, this, what's the point of all of this? There's no prizes for this, man. We get it. You got a curve. Then, of course, men started getting in on it and taking their dick print and making an eye. And it's like, some of you motherfuckers got some very lowercase eyes there with the dick. Relax. So it's just like, yo, aren't we supposed to, I know we got to have our fun, but aren't we supposed to set some sort of example for these kids? We complain about social media and them being on it and having to remind them that this is not the real world and that the world existed before and was even a little more fun, dare I say. But mama's in the bathroom while the kids are supposed to be doing remote learning, trying to get a perfect picture of the curve on her ass so she can add ERIOD next to it. What the fuck are we doing? Daddy's in the bathroom trying to get his nuts to come close enough together that they look like the O and writing period around it. So it's just like, again, back to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. The For the Pussy Challenge wasn't no prizes. The In My Feelings Challenge, people wreck their goddamn cars. Obtaining the Popeyes chicken sandwich, that felt like a challenge, but it wasn't. And I think I just about take the crate challenge before I would attain a Popeye's chicken sandwich. You may remember, dude in DC actually died trying to get one, and it wasn't even a spicy one. So yeah, be in my feelings. The period challenge. Then last year we had the busted challenge, which I enjoy from a male perspective. Every woman going down to her knees and shaking that ass. I'm never gonna be against that. Although again, back to my point of, hey man, every time we give you a chance to be interesting and to come up with something, you come up with something that involves your body. Think about that. Think about that. Why is that? But you keep saying you're more than your body. But busted challenge, the silhouette challenge, where they were getting naked or taking off their clothes to reveal lingerie. You know, period challenge, where they were showing their curves and then writing "period" next to it, to where you just go, nah, I'd be, you know how pissed I'd be if I saw my mama doing this shit. I'm just like, this is the stock that I come from. So anyway, what else I want to talk to you guys about? Yeah, the crate challenge, it just, it came and it went. Hospital beds were full of people with the Delta variant and people who climbed up some motherfucking crates. There's the last two things I wanted to talk to you about. Speaking of the Delta variant, the Met Gala went down last night. So, of course, every activist is out there. All the people who consider themselves celebrities and activists are writing, all these slogans on their clothes. Eat the rich. AOC's down there with that on. God bless. She's a cute woman, so she can do no wrong in my book. Tell me all about climate change, AOC. I appreciate it. Anyway, she's down there. Megan Rapinoe's down there saying something about, writing something about gay on her clothes. I don't know. Just like I said, especially the eat the rich thing, that is just like, ma'am, you're surrounded by the rich. Like preaching to the, it's the pot calling the kettle black a little bit, to where it's like, yo. And I mean, they got a show coming out that Usher's going to be hosting. I think it's called The Activist. So it's just like, did y'all just make activism mainstream? Like, what's really going on here? You got somebody competing. And I mean, you can read the press report yourself. It's set up to where the winner gets like to donate to a charity. So you go, or how about y'all just fucking donate to charity and don't sit here and play a fucking game? Some kid's education is hanging in the balance. Some kid is watching this going, either I'm going to have to get a summer job and stay local and go to school, or I'm going to be going to Columbia University. This next question will determine my future. Like, just give the kid the fucking books and stop playing games. The activists. Anyway, so yeah, activism's gone mainstream. So yeah, they're all down at the Met Gala. So that wasn't what I wanted to talk to you about. So the limousine liberals are down there showing off their outfits. That it's just like, you are the rich, sis. Relax. Look in the mirror. Anyway, Nicki Minaj, who I'm a fan of. If you guys just listen to this whole rant, you are fully aware by now that I'm a rap stan. Anyway, Nicki, who was on Monster, going back to Kanye, was invited, I think, to perform at the VMAs, which I think that was in Jersey, which they say it's in New York, but it's next to New York. Jersey's New York's backyard, and everything they don't want, they just kind of shove it over there. Even the football teams. My favorite part of the year is when the Jets and Giants start losing and people go, technically they play in New Jersey. It's like, nah, when they be winning, y'all don't say that shit. So, yeah, Nicki was invited. She did not show up, and everybody jumped to, oh, well, it's her boyfriend who is a convicted rapist. So there's some judgment there, and that's kind of fair. But then it veers into this territory of just being mean, to where it's like, Nicki was 13 when this crime happened. This crime happened in 1995. So just for myself at times, I say, do these people really care about women? Because what it looks like is they only care about women when they agree with them. And I'll go as far as to say, we're not going to get too deep into it, but her brother allegedly also has some sort of sex crime that he's going to jail for. But see, this is, to me, the flip side of sexism, that a woman would ever be held responsible for the bad actions of the men around her. To where it's like that girl was 13 when her husband did what he did. Of like, are y'all sure y'all care about women? Why is that her fault? Get at him. And I mean, this guy has no social media and seriously is a registered sex offender. So like I said, the criticism's fair, but you go, is that her fault? And he did serve his time for that crime. So it just seems a little unfair. Like people like being mean to her. Anyway, she's supposed to schedule. She did not perform and everyone jumped to, it must have been next to a Chuck E. Cheese. Because he's a sex offender, folks. Which, what's funny about that is I am now 35 years old. And every now and then you get an email that says there are sex offenders in your area, right? No one's never knocked on my door and said, yeah, man, I'm a sex offender. I just moved in across the street because I would probably go, no, the fuck you didn't. And I don't even have kids. But seriously, never heard any stories. Like, I feel like that's just a rumor that they have to do that. Go around and knock on people's door. Because I've never actually heard a story of anyone being like, ah, damn, man, it's 9 a.m. Say what now? You did what to kids? So, yeah, anyway, yeah. So people were like, she canceled her VMA performance. Must have been next to a Chuck E. Cheese. Ha, 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 right? Jokes are cool. The jokes are going to fly, right? Jokes are always going to fly. And as a comedian, I can't knock that. Fair. But like I said, at a point, it's like, the girl was 13 when all that happened. I'm sure she knows nothing about it. Anyhow, canceled the VMA performance. Everybody was curious as to why canceled her Met Gala performance or appearance. And turns out, something about anti-vax and how she had COVID or didn't want to get it. Whatever. Anyway, she went on a spree of tweets, one of which was hilarious. She said, a cousin back in Trinidad took the vaccine and his balls swole up, and now his fiance doesn't even want to marry him. To which I'm like, so guys, if you want to get out of an engagement, just take the vaccine. Your balls will swell up and your wife will leave you alone. Which, again, back to the jokes. The jokes are always fine. They're fucking hilarious. But I wake up to, and I mean, here's my thing overall with celebrities of like, most of these people, Carrie Hilson is another one that every now and then her beautiful ass will say, the 5G virus and all that shit. So they'll flag her for misinformation. People can't believe that she's Busta Rhymes had a little rant recently, which is like, have you heard? And people were surprised that he was kind of a vaccine skeptic. So Busta Rhymes got off into, we just need to take these masks off and we need to have a good time. And it's like, people were shocked, but it's like, bro, his album titles are When Disaster Strikes, Big Bang Theory, It Ain't Safe No More. So it's like, this dude has kind of been low-key a conspiracy theorist for a while. And if you were listening to his albums, you knew that. So it didn't shock me. Trevor Smith, Busta Rhymes, a high school dropout. That it's like these people, I don't say that to insult them because they actually prove to you how unimportant school actually is if you have talent. Now, if your ass ain't got no talent, you better take your ass to school. So anyway, Drake's a high school dropout, which is weird, but because he's also fucking Canadian. But anyway, and it's weird. So anyway, every now and then when these people say something like Lil Wayne will jump out there and say all lives matter, and it's like two things. One is Lil Wayne is high as fuck, and most of these artists are. Like I think they asked A$AP Rocky something a few years ago about Ferguson and what was going on in Ferguson, and he was kind of like, nigga, I live in Beverly Hills and I live in Soho. Like, I don't know shit about Missouri, which honestly is the answer that a lot of people should give. You know what I mean? Because that's his truth. You know, there's the truth, then there's his truth. He's been out, you know, in Paris with white girls. He's dating Rihanna now. Like, the boy lives a nice life. You know, don't let these raps fool you. It's been a while since he lived in Harlem. Anyway, I said all that to say when these artists like Nicki say, you know, I'm a vaccine skeptic and because I don't like, you know, my cousin's ball swole up and I don't know if I want to be getting that vaccine. Everybody on the internet jumped to like, yo, this bitch is stupid. Yo, she's this, she's that. And it's like, again, first off, I thought we were all about listening to women. So again, it's only women we agree with and when convenient until that woman pisses you off. Anyway, or says something you don't like, which is very arbitrary. So I don't get off into that. If I like somebody, I like them. I don't give a fuck what they say. I don't expect them to agree with me and everything that they say. They live in a mansion. A lot of them have dropped out of high school. Like, they didn't take a conventional route. They're not conventional people by any means or standards, you know. These people went off the beaten path, became famous, made millions of dollars, live in a mansion. Like, why do you think they would agree with you? All you did was exactly what they told you to do. You went to school and you went to work. So, and you pay your mortgage on time. Like, they don't agree with you. That's why they're Busta Rhymes. That's why they're Nicki Minaj. That's why they're Spike Lee. That's why they're whoever they are, you know. They're out there, you know. Even a lot of NFL players have refused. Anyway, I'm vaccinated myself, but I respect people's right to. And what I wanted to say was, I wake up to everybody being like, you know, fuck her, blah, blah, blah. A lot of these pundits have gotten a hold to it on CNN and different stuff, you know, and they're, you know, dragging out black people to down her. And there's nothing more racist than chastising black people for thinking for themselves or trying to make a decision for themselves. Because the origin of us in this country is not being able to make decisions for ourselves. You know, not being able to live and be free, not being able to vote, not being able to go in certain restaurants. So restricting black people or saying, hey, you don't have the right to make that choice, whether it be vote for Trump or voting for a Republican or whatever the fuck it is. So like I said, you know, a lot of times with white people, I see that coming from a mile away where it's like, yes, they're going to, without even realizing it, try to restrict, you know, when you say, maybe considering Republican. Oh my God, how could you do that? Do you hear the things that Trump says? He doesn't like black people. And you go, yo, Joe Biden don't neither. This motherfucker wrote the 93 crime bill that mass incarcerated us. So like, relax and let me make a decision. And I mean, going back to the Tuskegee experiment, that is just like, yo, I bet if you went back in time, a lot of people were saying the same shit they're saying now, which is do your own research or, you know, show me your research that there's actually a Tuskegee experiment, because the government lied about it for years. You know, so it's like all this, you know, just believe the scientists and even the, you know, just believe the doctors. It's like, yeah, until Dr. Umar speaks. And then now it's We need to have a conversation and let me see your degree, Mr. Umar. I don't believe you're actually a doctor. Or Dr. Boyce Watkins, who I respect, says something and then it's out the window. I thought you said believe all doctors. And mind you, these are the same people who don't believe the car mechanic until they're on the side of the road and they go, oh, he did say I needed a new starter on my car. I should have got that starter. Now I'm sitting here and my shit won't start. Because scientists or car mechanics are just scientists for cars. So it's like, do we believe experts or not? What happened to getting a second opinion? Every doctor will tell you that before making a medical decision. So it's like, she has the right to weigh her options, her body, her choice, let her decide. I understand that this thing is contagious and it's, affecting a lot of us and we all want to get back to fun, but let's not police each other. I don't like that. Everybody get there in their own time. It's what I'm willing to say. Everybody get there in their own time. All right. So it is an idea that I wanted to kind of pitch to y'all, run by y'all that, with all the backlash she's receiving, and, last month we had the whole Sha'Carri Richardson thing. And even now we got this Brittany Renner thing, which nobody should feel sorry for. Nobody should feel sorry for PJ Washington because, nigga, Kaepernick warned you, bro. And the videos of her, Brittany Renner, are out there with her saying, athletes don't like to wear condoms. You can get them real easy. You can trap them, girl, get them. So it's like everybody knew this woman was a player, a pimp, So don't cry now, bro. She got you on child support and it is what it is. Although I'll say Brittany Renner keeps taunting him. And it's a lot like a serial killer that keeps writing letters to the paper after the body is found where it's like, oh, you want to get caught, don't you? So, yeah, the whole Brittany Renner, PJ Washington thing is kind of funny, but I said she better stop taunting that boy because if we remember, the last athlete that had a child support dispute and played for a team in North Carolina was Ray Caruth, people. I don't mean to make light of that. I'm just saying there's maybe something in that Carolina water that he's been drinking that, hopefully Ray is banned from the Charlotte Hornets arena and Ray ain't allowed in the gym, which somebody tweeted, PJ, my nigga, I hate it had to be him. Going back to the great Drake line where he said, Kobe, my nigga, I hate it had to be him. You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. That line was so dope they had to say it twice. Anyway, goddamn, Drake's great, man. We just wish, because even that song's not actually on a Drake album. That's on a Rick Ross album or whatever the fuck. So some of Drake's greatest verses are on other albums. And it's just like this dude, man, it's crazy. Anyway, going back to PJ Washington, it's just like, bro, this girl warned you. She told you what it was. Brittany's pimping this. She's pimping dude now, and he's all online going, please, I just want to see my son. And you're like, this motherfucker. Self-inflicted wounds, people. Wear your condoms, folks. But I ain't gonna lie. If I had $1 million, I would totally get with Brittany Renner. I'm ashamed to admit that as a man, knowing what we know about her. And I want the rest of you men to drag me out back and give me 2 to the back of the head. I deserve it for being a simp. That's what I get. Because you know what the girl that said. But there's this great clip of Brittany Renner spanking her own ass. And it's like a nice, juicy little bubble that I can't stop watching the video, folks. I know the woman is a predator. She's, the Black Widow spider that kills its husband after it mates with it. She's that. And she tried to kill Kaepernick. Kaepernick was on his revolutionary shit. That was like, nah, you can buy your own plane tickets. This girl is like Cat Stacks in her final form, for those of you Dragon Ball Z fans. Anyway, what I wanted to say, mentioning Brittany Renner, mentioning Nicki Minaj, mentioning Sha'Carri Richardson, mentioning Lizzo even, that Lizzo threatened a Postmates driver over some food. She went to a Lakers game with her ass out. And I mean, threatened this Postmates driver on her Instagram account about, of all things, some goddamn food. Anyway, which is so on brand for Lizzo. Some of these women are heels. And what I mean by that is in the wrestling term, in the wrestling sense. Remember some of these wrestlers, if I go back and I think, you had the good guys, like I think, Hulk Hogan was good at a point. He became a heel, though, with NWO. Hollywood Hulk Hogan was a heel. Bret Hart was kind of a heel. Stone Cold was certainly a heel. And, these people are people that you're supposed to love to hate. One out of every 4 people or so will be a fan of this person, And then you have the good guys. That some of these women are heels that it's like when they're being attacked online and different stuff for things that they say or do, we all just have to sit back and remember that equality is a two-way street. It's a two-way street. Equality is the right to be treated good or bad in the same sense that men are. So you think of somebody like Trump, who definitely was a heel. Think of Lil Boosie. Every time he speaks, people get pissed. T.I., Kanye even a lot of times. Odd enough, slavery was a choice that people, boo, they're hitting him with spitballs and stuff digitally because these people are all rich and out of sight. So with like Sha'Carri losing this race and coming in ninth, that you go, sis, had you not talked so much shit about how you were the best, ninth place would have been good. We've just been like, oh, shorty's in the Olympics. That's dope. Ninth place is great. But because she kept, if I had been able to go over there, had I not failed that drug test, and part of that was Black Twitter's fault. They hype everybody to fuck up. So it's like, nah, she ain't seen Shelly Ann Frazier and them Jamaican girls. They race in the sun. It's hot as fuck over there. Like, them girls run in crazy heat. They trying to get back into the AC. So, Elaine Thompson and all those girls, they're fucking fast. And I mean, Usain Bolt even on the male side of the game. So she lost that race and then went back to Twitter and was cussing people out. And I'll still beat you in the race in the replies. So it's just like, oh, you may be a heel. You may be that woman that takes popcorn from a kid in the crowd, throws it back in their face, or rips up the sign that they made, from the gift shop or got from the gift shop. So, Nicki, for some time now, has kind of been on that side of things where even now, as they're attacking her about, being a vaccine skeptic, which I'm for. I'm all for her right to choose what she wants to do. They're attacking her and they're basically telling her like, nah, and she's fighting back, she's retweeting them saying, yo, fuck your poor ass. And so, a lot of times people get defensive about women being attacked, but some of them are heels, Lizzo taunting a Postmates driver, showing up to a Lakers game in a fucking thong. Sha'Carri yelling at people that she's faster than them. Duh, sis. We're not runners. Some of these women are heels and people get defensive and people want to defend it, but it's like, nah, some of this shit is indefensible. So where it's like, yeah, let them, suffer the consequences. A little criticism's good for everybody mostly. And if the men get criticized or scrutinized to the extent that they do, it's like some of these women, some of our mothers are heels. I think about my mom sometimes and the shit she be saying and doing. I went home for Thanksgiving a few years ago, and my mother was saying about some Hispanics. She said, they didn't want to jump the fence until we built it. We being blacks, we being slaves. Where were the Hispanics when we were getting our asses whipped? and building fences and working for free. And I laughed because I said, oh shit, has my mom been listening to Fox News? But she doesn't have cable, so she hasn't been listening to Fox News. I don't think they show The Simpsons a lot whenever I'm there. But yeah, my mom might be a heel, because if my mom tweeted that, people would be pissed. and it's true. You know. So anyway, Nicki, Sha'Carri, Lizzo, they all, I think, are heels. Who else did I mention? There was another woman there that I mentioned. Oh, Brittany Renner. That is like heel. Totally snatching the popcorn out of kids' hand on the way to the ring and slamming it, taking the sign they got from the gift shop and ripping it up. Like, that's who these women are. And we have to sit back sometimes and allow them to be criticized. Although, as I was saying earlier, I think they over criticize Nicki. And like I said, for Black people, people feel like why should you get to choose? Juvenile did backs that thing up a few weeks ago. And I said at the time, I said, yo, you know, if you're going to drag out older rappers, then you should drag out a rock and roll person to get the white anti-vaxxers in line too. So where's the song from Kid Rock? That's what the fuck we need. We need vaccine cowboy, or whatever the fuck he does. But yeah, it's like, yeah, man, you know, give us some equality on that. Like, why you always want to insult us through song? Like, I was looking at Twitter and I saw Amber Ruffin, that has the late night show, Black comedian. Shouts out to her. I think the show is good overall, but she did a rendition of the New Edition song Poison. And I just got upset because I'm like, yo, another song? Like, why y'all keep hitting us with songs? Like, we're not that stupid. We don't need a beat. You know what I mean? It's like Vince Morris, a comedian, shouts out to him, used to have this joke on Def Comedy Jam. Google Vince Morris and Def Comedy Jam. And he used to have a joke about, you know, you be in the car, you just hear a beat. I don't know, I can't beatbox, folks. But then he would go, get your prostate checked. And it's like, yeah, why do you think you can't fucking reach us without a song and dance? So to see her do this poison routine was just, and I mean, the hook of the song, that vaccine ain't poison. That is just like, way to ruin a song everyone motherfucking loves. And also, again, where's the white song? And maybe I might be wrong about that. If you're listening, send me a link to a white song. Maybe I just don't know that there are white vaccine songs. But it's like, where's the country song? Where's the rock and roll song? Which, oddly enough, rock and roll is Black. Anyway, yeah, so it's just like insulting. Like, stop trying to reach us through music. And that was that bad commercial with that Black guy going, you know, I be in the streets hustling and, you know, so that's why I had got vaccinated, because I'm a hustler. And it was just like, what? Did you basically just come on a commercial and say that you be doing illegal things? So it's just, again, it's like, and we ain't even gonna talk about going back to the election where they had the get your booty to the polls, which was supposed to be a double entendre. They had all these strippers stripping with, you know, candidates written on their asses. That is just like, nice ass, sis, but also no. And of course it was the Democrats doing that shit. That is just like, can you not pander to us? Feels like the Republicans insult us and the Democrats pander, which is just as insulting, you know. Joe Biden, you ain't Black if you don't vote for me. And Hillary Clinton pulling out hot sauce. All right, last topic, folks, that I'm going to talk about. I am in the world of comedy, stand-up comedian, so I am here on the East Coast in New York. And what day was this? Let's go back a week, because I've been to Atlanta since. Going back a week, there was a comedian that was from New Jersey, had spent some time kind of on this coast, you know, New Jersey and New York. And he was now living in LA, and he had overdosed. His name was Fuquan Johnson. So RIP to him. We'll start by saying that. Overdosed on cocaine that they said there was a hint of fentanyl in. And then we had one of my favorite actors, and I mean favorite characters all time, Omar from The Wire. Michael K. Williams passed away like 4 days later from alleged heroin overdose. Heroin or heroin, because I feel like only those who use it say heroin. Like if somebody says heroin, they definitely use it or sell it. I feel like all of us normal people just call it heroin. Anyway, whatever you call it, they said it was laced with fentanyl. They found that shit, paraphernalia. So that led to this larger conversation about drug use. And this, here's what I hate, that we get off into these humble brags that people are doing now online. Like a lot of the old heads, when I say old heads, obviously I just mentioned I'm 35. So I'd say niggas 40 and over jump to, hey, y'all, these ain't the same drugs from back in the day. You know, everything's laced. So, you know, this shit just, and it's, you know, looking at history of life through rose-colored glasses, to where it's like, nigga, your day wasn't perfect either. Like, y'all didn't have perfect cocaine. And as a person who's prideful and a motherfucking 80s baby, it's like, listen here, son. Don't be dissing our drugs like that. We got good drugs, too. It's just that they're pretending like an overdose is new. So at a point, it's like, yo, shut your ass up. Like, limb bias actually happened. Those of you may remember Limb Bias was Michael Jordan's main competition in the ACC back in the 80s. Was picked by the Celtics and was having a, you know, welcome to the NBA party. And heart burst from cocaine, which is always why I was scared to try it. Because then people do this thing of, it was his first time. And whenever you say it was somebody's first time, even if it was their first time, people immediately go, this motherfucker does cocaine all the time. Because, it just, it's like when you're about to have sex with a girl and she goes, are you going wrong? Well, I don't usually do this. Going all the way back to R. Kelly, of course, famously on the remix to Ignition. Well, I don't usually do this, but go and break them off with the remix. So it's like anytime you hear someone say it was someone's first time or I don't usually do this, they're projecting. That usually means the exact opposite. So that was the story with Limb Bias. And of course he passed and everybody was sad. And actually they used his death, Reagan, I think at the time, to kind of pass some of the drug laws that they have in place now. They used his death as propaganda to fearmonger people. This is why we have to lock up drug dealers, because they're going to kill your son who was going to go to the NBA. And it's like, your son was not going to the NBA, okay? He can't even get up high enough to dunk. The only high he gets is from cocaine. Anyway. So, yeah. Old niggas got off into their bag of, man, these drugs these days just ain't the same as they used to be. Cocaine, heroin, they lacing everything with the fentanyl. And it's like, shut up, Big Daddy Cocaine. Like, nigga, we didn't invent the overdose. People been overdosing for a long time. Which actually, if you watch the show, which like I said, I'm a big fan of Michael K. Williams. Like I said, RIP to him. Brother did good work while he was here. And the depth of the Omar character. One of the interesting things about it is, and I mean, a while ago, I actually just had my 2-year memory pop up on Facebook, and I had changed my profile picture to him for a while because I was taking some heat from some other comedians online, and I just started feeling bulletproof. Like, look, here I am. Like, when I come on the block, y'all run off. You feel me? So Omar just was a great character. You know, some of his quotes, a man gotta have a code, he told, you know, Bunk when he was down locked up. Even within the show, like 4 days later, this is how great of a character he was. I woke up and it hit me of like Stringer Bell. If you watch The Wire, Stringer Bell's character, who Omar kills, Stringer Bell had sent some bad heroin to Jessup, which is a prison in Maryland, actually, while another character was there and trying to make him overdose. It was like rat poison or something they had put into the heroin. So I just said heroin, so y'all know what that means. My face is sweating. Anyway, I might nod off any minute now. Yeah, so Stringer Bell had done that, and and I woke up and said, damn, it was Stringer Bell that did this to Michael K. Williams because they had beef and he was lacing dope. That's how great a show it is that I'm still in the storyline wishing they'd be like Psych. I mean, he was appreciated while he was here, I feel like, by people who were fans of The Wire, which I love the show. It's regarded as the best show ever. And I wish shows that, you know, show dope dealing and killing weren't regarded as the best shows of all time. But I think, you know, we're all a bit, what's the word, I believe, voyeuristic, to where what we actually want to watch is things that we don't actually get to do. And that is why The Sopranos and The Wire are regarded as two of the best shows. And even if you get off into, what is this shit? I almost called it Dungeons and Dragons. HBO again, Game of Thrones. That a lot of people will regard that as a top show, even though it's more recent. Again, drugs, sex, violence. That it's like we don't actually in our everyday life get to kill people, our enemies, you know. We just get to quit our job and say, fuck that shitty boss. But Game of Thrones, you get to chop somebody's head off. And I heard there's a lot of dragons and rape. And I've never encountered a dragon or rape, luckily. Anyway, so yeah, voyeuristic qualities these shows have. And I was a little ashamed because I was on my pro-black shit of like, oh, I'm not watching The Wire. I don't need to see niggas drug dealing and killing. I see enough of that in my hood in Hallville, Indianapolis. Like, I don't need to see that, you know? So when I actually did tune in, I've watched the show like 5 times all the way through. So Omar was a Robin Hood type character, actually, with robbing drug dealers. Never, at one point he says it, and you don't realize it until he says it, probably 4 seasons in, but he says to one of the detectives, they try to string him up on a murder, and he says to him, hey man, I never turned my gun on no civilian. And you go, oh shit, dude has never, this whole time he's been robbing. He never has done anything wrong to anybody that wasn't in the game, as he actually says in the show. So a little bit of, like I said, Robin Hood quality of like, this dude is kind of amazing in the show. And like I said, survived to the end, got killed by a kid. But yeah, this motherfucker, it, you know, it hurt to see him go. Like I said, it's one of the, I feel like he definitely got his flowers, which, you know what's funny? People say that line and don't even realize that they got it from Kanye. You know, going back to Graduation album from Kanye, that if you admire somebody, you should go ahead and tell them people never get the flowers while they can still smell them. Beautiful line. And I think he had said that about Jay-Z on Big Brother. My big brother was Big's brother. So yeah, people will say we need to give them their flowers while they're here, and they don't even realize. Then the next minute they'll be like, fuck Kanye, you know, he said slavery was a choice. And it's like, nah, give Kanye his goddamn flowers. Anyway, so yeah, Omar from The Wire passed. And like I said, people, you know, got off into they talk about drugs being laced and whatnot. There's even a tester that people were saying, like, you know, get a testing strip if you're going to do drugs, which I thought was a little funny because it's one of them things of like, you know, nobody's really prepared when somebody whips out some cocaine. And, you know, that's not a thing. And I've been to some parties because I'm not in LA, but I'm on the West Coast. And I remember going to a party with some comedians. And one of my brothers in comedy had to put his hand on my chest and go, "Don't go in that room. They're doing cocaine. Unless you do cocaine. Do you do cocaine? Your nose, nostrils look kind of wide, brother." So, and I had to be like, "Nah, I didn't know what they were doing in there. I just thought and I mean, like I said, shouts out or R.I.P. to Fuquan Johnson and had another brother, good friend of mine from Indianapolis. And actually, while I was down in Atlanta, I planned on hitting him up. That passed away, allegedly a suicide, a brother named Jamil Harley. So that's comedy family as well. So been a real kind of crazy week, morbid week. And they say that death comes in threes. And for me, it did, definitely came in threes for me. So RIP to all three of those dudes and check out their work. It's available online. Fuquan Johnson, Jamil Harley, Michael K. Williams, obviously that, and had that scar on his face that a lot of people, I remember him telling a story about getting a scar on his face. And, a lot of people would like to say, what can they really use him in? And he felt like he was typecast at a certain point, but it's better to be typecast than not cast. And I mean, I'm doing some auditions now for certain shit. And it's like, whatever the thing is that you don't like about yourself, it probably actually makes you unique. I mean, I live in Harlem. I got a lazy eye. I walk around Harlem and all over there's signs of, the King of Scotland and what's the name? What's the name of this show? The Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker. So you go, it made him unique. That scar made Michael K. Williams unique. He was instantly recognizable. So really, whoever gave him that scar, I mean, like, you kind of, you helped him out a little. Like, he had that rugged street look. And even I think Lovecraft Country went off. It's not on, but he was in that. And he was in a bunch of other series. But, man, Omar was one of those. Like I said, he did complain somewhere in some interviews about being typecast, but typecast is better than not being cast. So, at least he got to see that through, and a dude is legendary. He'll live forever. All right, we about an hour 30, so we're going to go ahead and finish this damn podcast up with, I got to check out the movie, speaking of acting, I got to check out the movie Candyman, the new Candyman. And I got to admit, I was excited to see, what they had to offer and whatnot. New Candyman, Jordan Peele was involved. I think they delayed the movie because, COVID and the pandemic, and maybe they wanted it to release it in theaters. It was supposed to come out a while ago. So, Candyman, 90s classic. One of the first black horror films that I think we all in the 90s, we just watched it because it was like, yo, we got a black horror villain. Like, gotta check this shit out. Then you found out this nigga only haunts the projects. Cabrini Green in the original, the projects, which I think they've since torn down. So Jordan Peele updated that to where, this area has now been gentrified. And there was like an art museum that the whole thing kind of took place for, which I should say, spoiler alert, but I'm not going to give away a lot of the plot. I mean, it's a fucking horror movie. Like, people get killed, motherfucker. Like, it's Candyman. You've already seen the original. What can I really spoil for you folks? I mean, like I said, I'm not a big spoiler alert person. And I will always say, how do you motherfuckers watch porn? You know how that ends. Of like, no big spoiler alert. I'm not one of those people. So, yeah. I gotta get rid of this white wall behind me. It looks like I'm on first 48 in the goddamn interrogation room. We'll figure that out, though. Anyway, people, yeah. So, new Candyman, like I said, the original Candyman I enjoyed. Black man killing a bunch of white people. Oh, man, this is phenomenal. It's like Nat Turner. in a trench coat, which I always had beef with the first movie because the first movie, there's no candy. So it's just like, why is this motherfucker called Candyman? Like, I could think of 5 other names for this movie. Nigga with hook, bee face, because he gets stung by bees after being chased and lynched. So I hate for us as Black Americans that our stories always have to have that real thing that grounds the story that usually is racism. Because even in this update of the movie, I hated the fact that the cops are now involved. So instead of the Candymans being lynched, the cops are beating them to death now. And the new Candyman actually does have candy, though. So that's been fixed. But it's hard candy. So he's like passing out cinnamon disc and butterscotch to the community. And the candy winds up on the ground a lot because niggas don't like butterscotch like that. It's too much. It's like, maybe this was good candy for the 1940s. But niggas nowadays would like some Skittles or some Bubblicious. You can't give these new kids no damn cinnamon disc candy, man. And definitely don't give it to them with the hook hand. Anyway. So yeah, I didn't like that. Like I said, it's the cops now. So, and they're multiple Candymans. But he's out of the projects now, so. What a Black stereotype. It's like, is he going to have government cheese on the hook as well? The original Candyman just on the project. But he is killing white people. So that's consistent. He's killing white people. So go, check out the new Candyman, which, like I said, Jordan Peele made some nice updates, some nice changes. The original's better. I'll say that. He definitely, I think his white body count was more in the original. Like I said, I didn't like that the cops were involved in this one, where it's like, why can't just kill some cops too? Anyway, well, the cops turn him into Candyman by beating him, and then you come back as Candyman. So, like in their world, George Floyd or someone returns with a hook on their hand. That was the thing. Anyway. Like I was saying, this is a good update. Other than that, he's out the projects. I don't like the cops aspect. I'm actually surprised nowadays that they allowed him to be Candyman because we know gender is, you're not supposed to talk about gender anymore. Surprised they didn't make him gender neutral. Like, I'll just go by Candy now. Candyman, because Billy Porter's in The Fairy Godmother in a movie that I'll refer to as Cinderfella. He's a fairy godmother, they said. So I'm surprised they didn't go gender neutral with the movie and call it just Candy. Anyway, I'm clearly clowning. I've been on here way too long. Let me get the fuck off here. Go see the Candyman and tell me what the fuck y'all think about it. I was clowning earlier because I said Candyman won't go to O Block in Chicago, but Tekashi did. That you won't say Tekashi 6 to 9 times. Look at me. See, I'm off into my comedy bag now. I need to get off here, go hit a stage or something. We're getting about to 7 o'clock here. It's been fun. Check this out. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to step up the production and the cameras and all that different type of stuff. Like I said, I'm just getting back from being home and then being in Atlanta. So y'all stay tuned. Check out these lives. Like, share them, subscribe them. Comment. Leave a motherfucking comment, even if it's mean. Let me know what the fuck you think. Don't be a stranger. It's been fun. Like I said. Back doing comedy shows. I'm in New York City. Come check me out. Actually, what am I doing? I think next week I'm at New York Comedy Club, but I can't remember. So anyway, yeah, it's been fun. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for listening.